Welcome to another podcast. This one's really exciting, and as you can see, I have my trusty sidekick Nia sitting beside me. She might chime in a little bit later. Thanks very much everyone for tuning in again. I know that there's some pretty exciting stuff happening, and you'll see that there's been a little bit of a name extension, and that's why I wanted to come on here and share with you. So welcome to the Trainer's Edge, Training and Assessment Professional Development. So we have been around now for about 6 years, I think late 2019. And from here on in, we have more value, a bigger community. So your edge just got a bit sharper. So really, I just want to welcome everyone back. And if this is your first time listening, welcome to you. I hope you enjoy the episodes that are already there, but look forward to many, many more. And this is really a genuine thank you. And 22,000 plus downloads doesn't happen without people like you guys just showing up. So keep sharing and keep telling colleagues about listening to this. I would be most grateful, and I'll keep providing lots of content and really just enable more resources that I can share with you as well. That's what it's all about, right? So, but if you are brand new here, perfect timing, because today's episode is really essentially a reset, a relaunch, bigger, bolder content to what the podcast has always been, and direct conversations about where we're taking it together. So thank you. Whether you've been with me from the very first episode or you've literally just found it, this one really, really matters. So this is telling you, so what's changed and why? The why is more important. This started 6 years ago because I saw a gap, a massive gap between what vet professionals were offering in terms of professional development and what they actually needed in the real world. And theory is great, compliance is truly necessary, but what trainers and assessors actually said that they needed was someone who's been in the room, someone who has stood in front of learners, who wanted to be there. And, you know, I've stood in front of plenty of learners who didn't want to be there and couldn't see the point. And we kind of had a term for those who are forced to come to training. Sometimes people were carrying more than you could necessarily help with. And, you know, that any facilitator's guide ever prepared you for, because sometimes people brought with them their lack of ability to learn, or what they perceived was their lack of ability to learn. So, and this podcast has always tried to deliver real practical experience, and I want to give more. And I mean that in the most concrete way possible. So let's talk about what's new. We've just launched the Trainer's Edge community on School. It's free to join. And I want to see you in there because it will provide you with some free resources, great lessons that I've learned and other trainers that I've worked with have learned along the way. And here's what you get when you join. You get access to resources that I add every week, frameworks, templates, tools, reflection guides, and content that goes deeper than any single podcast in this episode could give you. So you can get a community of like-minded people sharing their challenges, sharing their wins, and also you'll get direct access to me. And it's not a chatbot, it's actually me. So that does make a difference. I'll do some lives as well as providing a lot of quality content that you may not see anywhere else. So the link will be at the bottom of the show. It's free to join. So go to school.com/the Trainer's Edge. And I'll say it again, school with a SKOOL.com/the Trainer's Edge. and you'll be able to tell me a bit about yourself. So introduce yourself and tell me about your problems as a trainer assessor, and we'll see if we can solve them as a community. And you'll be also prompted when I put up additional posts, and that way you're able to keep up with new things that pop in there all the time. So those of you who are new, or if you haven't heard from me in a while, I'll share a little bit about my background, and that will give you some idea of my experience, where I've been, and also a very clear example of I still have so much to learn, just like yourselves. So I've been in vocational education and training for about 23 years. I'm a trainer, assessor, fully qualified up at the diploma level, curriculum designer, program coordinator, and I ran my own training organisation for 13 years. I've written qualifications, I've built teams, I've managed compliance, I've chased funding, I've reported on funding, reporting to government bodies. I've sat across the table from learners at every end of the spectrum that you could possibly imagine. And part of my career that shaped me most, things that fundamentally changed me, were the way I understood learning, human behaviour, and what it actually means to connect with students. So my time as a vocational services manager at a maximum security prison was one of the most profound and privileged positions that I've ever been able to hold. And I want to be clear about something up front. This isn't where I tell you dramatic stories for effect. This is where I tell you the most important professional lessons I've ever learned. And it came from the most unlikely classrooms. When I walked into that facility in 2021 and tasked with building a vocational services department from scratch, new team, new programs, new everything, I knew the technical side. I had the qualifications, I had the experience, or so I thought. What I didn't fully appreciate yet was the voluntary participation, and how the inmates would want to engage and would want to learn from people, and the participation that occurred, whether it was in kitchen operations, whether it was in wood fabrications, metal fabrications, outdoor qualifications. It really didn't matter. It was the wanting to participate, which is something that a lot of people in the community might not realise. So let me just share with you the thing about incarcerated learners that most people didn't realise is they don't have to come to class, right? They're not forced to do vocational education and training. They might have to, depending on what's happened for them, they might have to participate in the rehabilitation and reintegration programs in R&R, but vocational education and training is a little bit different. So to have the high levels of numbers that we had, the high engagement and the success rates was just incredibly humbling. And, you know, when there are no requirements to participate or no consequences for not participating, you would think that many people would choose not to, but that's not the case. So, and you know, that changes everything about showing up as a trainer. So depending on your cohorts, how you show up as a trainer is really key. And they're going to be some of the things that I want to share with you about showing up in your preparation and how you can really level up. So, you know, as a trainer, I don't want you to be boring and irrelevant. You can deliver content that connects people to their lives, to their futures, their sense of what's possible for them. And that's really important. The moment you lose the room, especially in a correctional facility, you've lost it completely, and you've lost their trust, and possibly for good, because that can go very, very fast. So I learnt very, very quickly, as did my team, that every session does count, to connect your content to context, to understand that for many learners was that was the first time in adult lives that someone had sat down with them and said, you are capable of more. You can do this. And as a facilitator, my team and myself had to learn how to really be creative in our delivery. So we ran programs in employability skills, life skills, industry skills, vet qualifications specifically. And between 2021 and 2024, we achieved an 85% completion rate. And that was profound. Not because we forced anyone, but because we made it worth showing up. And, we showed up. And there is a very significant difference in vocational education and training being internal and not an external program that gets brought in. There is a significant difference, but I won't go into that. So let me also share with you, my background also goes into NLP and the science of connection, which is really important. I say to anyone who's going to be a trainer assessor, you really would benefit from NLP skills in your delivery. So in 2009, I completed my NLP practitioner certification, and in 2020, I became an NLP master practitioner. And for those who aren't familiar, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And its core, it's the study of how human beings process experience, communicate, create meaning around the language that we use, both internally and externally, and how it shapes our behavior, our beliefs, and our results. So now, I know some people hear NLP and immediately think of sales tactics or stage hypnosis, but let me be very clear with you. That's not what I'm talking about. What NLP gave me practically in the training room was a framework for understanding why learners respond the way they do, why some people shut down when given direct feedback, why others need to see the big picture before they can engage with it in detail, and why rapport isn't just a nice to have, it's actually the foundation of everything else that it's built on. So when you understand how people process information, their preferred representational system, their internal filters, stories they're running in their head, about their own capabilities, you stop teaching a room and you start connecting. And really connecting is important. So I used NLP techniques every single day, not for manipulation, but purposely to build trust faster, to reframe limiting beliefs that were keeping people stuck, to communicate in ways that actually landed. And here's the practical application for you as a trainer and assessor. You don't need to become an NLP practitioner to use these principles, but you can understand them. Even at the basic level, you make a significantly greater impact as a facilitator. So we're going to be exploring NLP concepts and how they apply specifically to vet delivery and in future episodes, and also specifically in the school community, because this stuff that doesn't make it into the TAE qualifications, but it absolutely should. So what your top downloads tell me is really key. It's really quite fascinating. I want to talk for a minute about how it directly shapes the content that I create for you. Our most downloaded episodes were ones that have consistently performed above everything else are the adult learning principles, that are the key to learning. So that's got over 1,000, over 1,500 downloads. And the other one was adult learning principles, the art of storytelling. And that again is up there over 1,500 downloads. Are You a Crappy Trainer was down around the 1,100, and traps trainers fall into. So these these episodes tell me something, and especially around the adult learning principles and the art of storytelling. I know that that one was a very popular podcast, because when you understand how you can connect learners to real life adult stories, that is a game changer. So you're not, from what I'm seeing, you're not looking for compliance checklists. You're not looking for regulatory updates, because you can get those from the regulators. You're looking for craft, the craft as a trainer, the principles, the reflection, the honest conversations about what makes a trainer genuinely effective, opposed to technically adequate. So that tells me exactly who you are. You are someone who cares about getting better, not just ticking boxes, but actually improving. And that's exactly who this podcast and this community is for. So I want to let you know that the episodes going forward are going to lean even harder into that, dive deeper, and have a more practical application. So more of the honest conversations that other professional development spaces are a little too cautious to have. So you're actually connecting with your learners, and we will look at, or are you covering content? Are you reading from PowerPoints rather than storytelling and sharing and opening people's minds? Or like, what does your facilitation style cost your students when you haven't invested in your own development? Because investing in our own growth is super important. And what's the difference between a trainer who gets through a session and a trainer who changes someone's trajectory? These are conversations we're having here and also in the school community. So that's really, really exciting. And I want to share my vision. So I want to say something about the listeners who found this podcast outside of Australia. So you exist, I see you in the data, and that matters to me. So VET is a formal system in an Australian construct, but the principles of effective adult learning, meaningful assessment, and transformational training delivery are universal. So whether you're facilitating in a corporate boardroom in London, or community training centre in New Zealand, or a correctional facility in the United States, the human beings sitting in front of you have the same fundamental needs. They need to feel safe, they need to feel seen, and they need to understand why this matters to them. And they need a trainer who shows up prepared, present, and genuinely invested in their outcomes. That's what the Trainer's Edge is about. And that's why I want to grow this community globally, not just across Australia. So if you're listening from outside Australia and this content is landing for you, please share it. Leave a review on the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, tell another trainer. That's how we grow, and that's how we build something that actually shifts the standards of training delivery worldwide. And join us on School. Wherever you are in the world, the community is open to you. And you'll see that link down the bottom of the description. All right, let me bring this together. Here's what I want you to do after finishing listening this episode. 1, go to school.com, the Trainer's Edge, and join the community. It's free. There are already resources in there waiting for you, and I'll add more every week. This is where the deeper work happens. And 2, subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, wherever you are, YouTube. We're on all of them. And if you're a loyal listener who hasn't left a review yet, today is the day. Reviews directly impact how many trainers find this content. 5 minutes of your time could change another trainer's practice. And 3, share this episode with one person, one trainer, one assessor, one person entering the vet sector who needs to hear this. You know, someone, send it to them. And finally, come and find us on Facebook at the Trainer's Edge TAPD group, or on Instagram TAPD, and on YouTube, The Trainer's Edge, Training and Assessment Professional Development. So this podcast has always been one of the things that give you the edge that separates good trainers from great trainers. That mission hasn't changed, and it's just getting bigger. I'll see you in the next episode, and hopefully I'll see you in the community. Please introduce yourself, and until then, keep showing up to your learners and give them your very, very best.